Beyond fairy tales, the disturbing truth. Frozen. There are stories we tell our children, fairy tales wrapped in warmth, dressed in songs, made soft so young minds won't tremble. But beneath their gleaming surface, the truth is jagged ice, waiting to cut deep. Frozen is one such tale, and its origin is far darker than we dare imagine. Let's go back. Not to 2013 when the film enchanted the world, but to 1844, when a man named Hans Christian Andersen penned a story called The Snow Queen. A story not of love and sisterhood, but of corruption, captivity, and a mirror crafted by the devil himself. It began, as all good horror stories do, with a curse. There was once a mirror, not an ordinary one, but a glass forged by the hands of demons. It did not show beauty or truth. Instead, it twisted reality, warping everything good into something hideous. A flower reflected in its surface would appear wilted and rotting. A kind face would be rendered ghastly and cruel. And worse, if a shard of the mirror entered your body, it would taint your soul. Some say the mirror was the devil's greatest creation, meant to turn humanity against itself. And when his wicked disciples tried to carry it into the heavens to mock God himself, it shattered. Countless shards rained upon the earth, embedding themselves into the hearts and eyes of unsuspecting victims. His name was Kai. At first, he was like any other boy, bright-eyed, full of laughter. But then, a splinter of the cursed mirror pierced his eye. Another lodged itself in his heart. And with that, the world around him changed. His best friend, Gerda, watched as Kai became something else. He no longer smiled. His words grew cold, sharp as broken glass. He laughed at suffering, mocked kindness, and called love a foolish game. And then, on a night when the world lay buried beneath snow, she came for him. She rode in a sleigh carved from ice, a queen of frozen death, her touch enough to steal warmth from the air. The Snow Queen found Kai alone, his heart already turning to stone. She whispered promises in his ear, words that slithered like frost across glass. She told him the world was cruel, that only the cold were strong enough to survive. She kissed his forehead, and the last trace of warmth inside him vanished. And so, she took him. She whisked him away to her frozen palace, where the air bit and howled. There, he was given a task, to assemble a puzzle made of ice. A game, she called it. If he could form the word eternity from the shards before him, he would be free. But it was a cruel trick. The puzzle had no solution. The ice cut his fingers raw, his breath shallow and thin. He sat there, his body stiffening, his mind unspooling like a thread caught in the wind. Until one day, he would be nothing more than another frozen statue in her collection. The journey through nightmares. But Gerda did not forget. She set out alone, braving horrors most would not dare face. A witch tried to steal her memories, whispering sweet lullabies to keep her trapped in a dream of flowers and warmth. A robber queen nearly slit her throat, delighting in the idea of keeping her as a pet. A wise woman told her the truth. The Snow Queen's kingdom lay at the edge of the world, where death itself wore a crown of ice. With frozen hands and trembling breath, Gerda reached the palace. She found Kai, his eyes empty, his skin like glass. He did not recognize her. Tears spilled down her face, landing on his frozen hands. And then, the impossible happened. Her tears melted the shard in his heart. The curse shattered. Kai blinked, his lips parting as if waking from a nightmare century old. But the Snow Queen was watching. And she was not pleased. There are many versions of the ending. Some say the Snow Queen let them go, her power broken by the warmth of Gerda's love. Others whisper that as the palace thawed, her body cracked and shattered like a frozen river splitting open in spring. And some believe she never truly died at all. They say she waits in the bitter north, watching, listening, searching for another lost soul willing to trade warmth for power. For a heart of ice beats far longer than one of flesh. Hans Christian Andersen wrote The Snow Queen as a warning. A tale about manipulation, emotional isolation, and the power of love to break even the coldest curse. Disney changed much of the story, removing the cursed mirror, softening the queen. But echoes of the horror remain. Elsa isolates herself in an ice fortress, much like the Snow Queen. Anna, like Gerda, refuses to abandon her loved one. And hidden beneath the surface is the same chilling truth. Love is fragile, and once the cold sets in, it may never thaw. So the next time you hear the wind howl outside your window, listen closely. If it whispers your name, don't follow, for the Snow Queen never stops searching, and winter is eternal. Do you want to build a snowman? The Lion King. The Lion King is a tale of triumph, of the natural order reclaiming its throne. But hidden beneath the sun-soaked savannas and the triumphant roar of Simba lies something older, something darker. A story rooted in fratricide, betrayal, and the ghosts of a kingdom torn apart by hunger and war. In 1599, Shakespeare penned Hamlet, a tragedy dripping with deceit, revenge, and the suffocating weight of a murdered father's ghost. But the bones of this story reach even further back to the bloodied hands of kings, both real and imagined. The Lion King is not just Hamlet set in the wild, it is a tale steeped in the brutal reality of power, of kingdoms that have fallen under the shadows of traitorous brothers. And what happens when a rightful heir is denied his throne? Scar was no mere villain. He was something older, something from the whispered nightmares of ancient African folklore. There are tales whispered among elders, carried by wind and firelight, of a hyena king, a creature neither lion nor fully beast, but something caught in between. He was said to be a ruler who sought power through deceit, who drank from the skulls of his fallen enemies and laughed at the suffering of his kin. The earth itself rebelled against him, grass withered, rivers ran dry, and the air became thick with decay. And so, the great spirits cursed him. His voice became jagged, his fur sickly and dark. His kingdom was stripped away, and in its place, he was left to wander the fringes of the world. But a creature like him does not disappear. He waits, he watches, and when he finds an opening, he takes it. Did Scar know of this legend, or was he merely its next incarnation? When Mufasa fell, he did not die alone. His body was swallowed by the stampede, but the scavengers of the Pride Lands were not wasteful. In ancient folklore, hyenas are not just scavengers, they are omens. Their laughter is not mirth, but a warning, their hunger not simple appetite, but a curse waiting to be unleashed. And Scar, the hyena king reborn, let them in. They feasted on Mufasa's remains. His bones were gnawed clean beneath the shadowed overhangs of Pride Rock. His strength, the lifeblood of the kingdom, drained into their bellies. And with each bite, the land itself began to rot. The sun dimmed, says. The herds fled. The kingdom withered as all places do when ruled by a man who steals rather than builds. But the dead do not rest when murdered by their own blood. When Simba ran, he carried more than shame, he carried a curse. He had abandoned his father's spirit to the feast of hyenas, left his bones to be desecrated. The spirits of the Pride Lands would not forget. And so, one night, beneath the sky filled with crackling thunder, the dead spoke. Mufasa appeared, but not as flesh, not as warmth. His form was fractured, his eyes clouded by the betrayal he had suffered. His voice was the wind howling through hollowed-out bones. And as he called Simba's name, the jungle shivered. "You have forgotten me." not a lesson, not guidance. A warning. For if Simba did not return, Mufasa would not be the only ghost haunting the Pride Lands. Scar did not deny as kings should. His fate was written in the bones of the hyenas. Betrayal begets betrayal. When the battle raged, when the fires of the kingdom licked the sky, he pleaded for mercy. He turned to the very creatures he had given his throne to, but he had made a fatal mistake. A king who rules through fear is king only as long as fear remains. The hyenas turned on him. Their teeth tore at his flesh, ripping away the facade of a ruler. Their laughter echoed through the canyons, hollow and hungry. And as the flames roared higher, the hyena king fell to the fate he had long escaped. His body was never found. Some say the hyenas took him, carrying him away to some forsaken den, where his bones still rest beneath the cold earth. Others believe he never truly died, that his spirit lingers, waiting, watching, whispering to the next broken soul willing to trade love for power. Disney told us the circle of life is a story of balance, of nature restoring itself. But the truth is older, darker, darker. Life does not circle, it spirals. Kings fall, traitors rise, the land suffers, and history repeats itself in the screams of the fallen. And so, what did Simba see when he returned to his ruined home? Did the shadows whisper? Did the winds carry the echoes of Scar's last breath? And when he took his place upon the throne, did he feel something cold beneath his paws? For thrones are not just passed down. They are taken. And every king, no matter how noble, must wonder, will the ghosts come for me next? And so, the shadows of these ancient tales continue to linger, forever entwined in the cold and the dark. Yet, this is but a glimpse, a mere whisper of the horrors and secrets that lie hidden beneath the surface. The stories are far from over. Dark forces stir, and forgotten realms call out to be remembered. The night is long, and there are still many more stories to be told, more whispers to be heard. Do you dare to listen further? To uncover the twisted origins and the dark truths that lie within the tales you thought you knew? If you seek the darkness, if you crave the unknown, then you know what to do. Like and subscribe to Veil of Dark Whispers, for what you have seen is just the beginning. More horrors await in the shadows, and soon they will rise to claim you. Will you answer their call?